welcome back to the channel. In this video today we're going over the Stamina Dragonknight for the Flames of Ambition patch. Now, I still like the Stem DK this patch. DPS has gone down a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I have 20.2k max health, 35.8k max stamina, stam recovery is 1.5, weapon damage unbuff is 5k, weapon critical is 51.4. I have 1400 pin, which is kind of low, but it's just kind of what I'm going with. I have 64 points into stamina. Keep in mind I'm a Khajiit, so stats may look a little different. Boon I'm running is the Thief, and the food that I'm running is Lava Foot Soup Saltress. Basically, it gives us a ton of stam recovery, a ton of max stam. If you don't have enough CP points to kind of get your health up to this 20k with the passive and the red tree, then you may want to look at still running Dubious. You'll lose a little bit of stamina and some recovery, but you'll get max health. So, I'll go over champion points last because it is such a big thing. So, sets. First set that we're running is Dagger of Morantong. We're running 2 daggers, one Nern, one Precise. I tried one Sharpened. DPS was roughly the same whether it was Precise or Sharpened. Single testing or not, so I guess that pin really doesn't matter too much. Maybe it might be different on a 21 mil dummy, but on a 3 mil sharpen or precise didn't make much of a difference. So I just kept it with precise after I changed it the first time. So Morantong, easy to get set, comes from PvP serial vendors. You can also buy this from guild traders. Everything is usually relatively cheap. We're running dual daggers, and then we're running 3-piece jewelry, all robust, all with weapon damage. Now, purple jewelry, you can get it for 5k, maybe less. So you don't necessarily need gold. It's not that big of a deal. I just got it in the traders while it was, or not the traders, but the vendors while it was there during the Imperial City event just recently. So I figured, hey, I like Morantong. I've been running it for a while, so I'll upgrade from purple to gold. So, now, before this, what this does, it gives us weapon damage, max stam weapon damage, and when you deal direct damage, you cause the enemy to take 10% more damage from poison and disease attacks for 5 seconds. Stam DK, for the most part, is all poison, except for one ability, or 3. Yeah, 3. Barb Trap, your fire, and, let's see. Flames of Oblivion here, Endless Hell, or Arrow Barrage, Bar Trap, and then of course our main spammable is physical damage. But our main dots and Poison Injection and Venomous Claw and Noxious Breath are very good. Plus, this also kind of helps the entire group. It's not just you. It's more damage from everybody. So if they have a poison enchant, a disease enchant, doesn't matter. They'll take more damage from it. So Nightblades, Necros, stam, as long as they're stam, though this will help increase their damage as well. So it's kind of nice, a nice little support set. Scavenging Demise isn't bad either. Basically, when you deal critical poison damage, you summon a Scavenging Maw that's going to put minor vulnerability, increasing damage taken by 5 seconds. This is a pretty nice set too, but I've kind of swapped off of it to go to Morantong. The Maelstrom Daggers, you can still use those. But this is where the perfected version does outshine the normal versions, because these are going to be on your front bar, and I think the perfected version gives you weapon damage, or yeah, I think it gives you weapon damage or weapon critical, one of the two, where this one, you know, you just get that extra. When you deal damage with flurry, your single target damage overtime abilities used within 4 seconds gain 1,690 spell and weapon damage. This makes, like, Venomous Claw, Rending Slashes, it makes those hit extremely hard. So it's really good if you're doing that. But we're rocking Morantong here just for the extra support set. So, back bar, we have the Maelstrom Bow infused with a weapon damage enchant. Basically, this just increases the damage to volley that we have. It's good to have. You can go with the Master's Bow too if you want. But we just got Maelstrom Bow. It's easier to get. Just go into Maelstrom on normal. By yourself, you can run through it in about 20 minutes on normal. You might have to run it more than once, but it is worth going in there and getting it. Now, see, and also we can run more tongue on the front part because this lasts for 5 seconds when we bar swap. So we shouldn't have any trouble. This carries over to our back bar, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, monster set, we're running one heavy Divine's Max Stamina Celine's and a medium Divine's Max Stamina Celine Shoulder. Basically, this is going to give us max stam, and when we do melee damage, you call upon a Primal Spirit that mauls the closest enemy in front of you after 1.3 seconds for 12.4k physical damage. This effect can occur once every 6 seconds. Now, if you wanted to, you can run 2 one-piece sets of crit, which would be like Slime Crawl. I don't think I have any on me. I do not. Which would be like Slime Crawl, Grundwolf. You could also go full 2-piece Slime Crawl, Veldreth. Crags is nice too. So it's just up to you on what monster set you want to run. If you want to run a full set, I like Celine's right now. If you want to go one-piece set, you can just go with the extra crit from Slime Crawl and Grundwolf. Wouldn't hurt nothing. So now the second 5-piece set that we're rocking is Witch Knight's Defiance. It's kind of a tongue twister for me, but Witch Knight's Defiance. This comes from Western Skyrim, I want to say. I think I'm right on that. I could be completely wrong, but I want to say it's Western Skyrim. No, it is not. So it's the Reach. Yeah, it's the Reach. Okay, so this comes from the Reach. My bad. We're rocking it all in the body, all divines, all with max stamina. Now what this does, it gives us weapon damage, and increase your weapon damage by 356 against enemies inflicted with a poison damage effect. We should always be putting the poison damage effect on them. It doesn't matter. So this is going to give us a nice boost for the majority of the time. So, sorry about all that. My phone's going crazy. I don't know if you heard that or not. But this is a nice set. If you don't want to run this, then Scavenging Demise here, Relic Winds, whatever pieces you want. You can also put Leviathan here. Honestly, if you're not doing trials and you don't really want to run this, or if you don't want to run more Autong because this is just say for whatever reasons you're having trouble finding the pieces for this set in the traders, or maybe you just don't have the gold to get them, maybe daggers are more than I thought they were, because I think I got this dagger for like 20k, 25k, somewhere around in there. But if they are relatively expensive, or maybe you just don't have the gold for it, you can run this on the weapons and jewelry, or weapons in the body, and get Leviathan from Crypto Hearts. So that'll give you more stamina. And the DPS is roughly the same. So, skills. Our main spellable is Stone Giant. Crush the earth beneath you, dealing 9.2k physical damage to all enemies within 6 meters of you. Debris ripped from the enemy. The ground is held around you for 12 seconds. Activating the ability again allows you to launch part of the debris at an enemy, dealing 10.2k physical damage up to 3 times. The final cast stuns for 3 seconds. Each hit applies stagger increase in damage taken by 65 per stack for 6 seconds. Now, if you don't like this spammable, I understand some people really do not like Stone Giant. You have options. You could always use Rapid Strikes. You can also go with the Hidden Blade. I was trying it out there for a minute. I never morphed it, but you can go with either morph for the Hidden Blade. You can also go back to Rending Slashes. I know there for a little while it was the rotation for the DK was just to spam Rending Slashes as the main spammable. That was before Giant Fist was introduced, and some people, you didn't use Rapid Strikes either. Mostly but now that they're the same, they cost the same, you could really go with either one. Some people even use Venomous Claws as spammable there for a little while. So it's just up to you on what you want to spam. You can go with either one of those. You have options. Rapid Strike, Stone Giant, Rending Slashes, or the Hidden Dagger. Venomous Claw is your second ability. Rake an enemy with your claw, dealing 5.1k poison damage, and an additional 19.8k poison damage over 14 seconds. Poison seeps into the target, deals increased damage the longer it lasts, dealing 20% more damage every 2 seconds. Enemies hit by the initial hit are afflicted with poison status effect. So this is going to give off that poison status effect, and we'll get our buff from that pretty quick. Noxious Breath, exhale a corrosive blast to enemies in front of you, dealing 7.1k poison damage and an additional 15.3k poison damage over 14 seconds. Afflicts enemy with major breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 5.9k. See, that second ability is really nice when you don't have a tank you maybe got a fake Q as a tank or whatever, or maybe they're using inner fire and the ice staff or the destructive clinch as their taunts. They're not actually using puncture. At least this way, major breach will give you physical resistance. And, it lowers the resistances for you and the rest of the group. So this way, when you get a fake tank, it's not such a big deal. Barb trap. Set a sharpened blade trap at your location, which takes 1.5 seconds to arm and lasts for 1 minute. When triggered, the trap deals 5.1k physical damage, an additional 20k physical damage over 18 seconds, and grants you minor force, increasing your critical damage by 10% for the duration. We're just have this on our front bar for while slot. You gain major savagery, increase your weapon critical rating by 2.6. You also gain minor berserk for 5 seconds after you deal critical damage from an enemy's flank, increasing your damage done by 5%. Both of these, we run these 3 on our bar here. We do have both of those double barred as well, just because of the fact that we want the passives that we get from the Fires Guild line, where we get an extra 3% in weapon damage. Let's see if we can find it here. We get that extra 3% per ability, so we're getting an extra 9% just for having those Dawnbreaker, Camouflage Hunter, and Barb Traps on our front bar. And then Dawnbreaker, arm yourself with Meridian Sacred Sword, and dispenses her retribution, dealing 11.6k physical damage to enemies in front of you, an additional 16.7k physical damage over 6 seconds. After activating, your weapon damage is increased by 300 for 20 seconds. This is good to use if it's during that execute phase or right a little bit before it. But for the most part, the ultimate you're going to be using is the Standard or Might ultimate. That's just kind of there for the extra passive from the Fires Guild. Now the back bar. Poison injection. Shoot an arrow coated in embed arrow poison at an enemy, dealing 4.5k poison damage, and additional 9.9k poison damage over 10 seconds. It deals up to 100% more damage to enemies under 50% health. Arrow barrage. Launch a multitude of arrows into the sky to rain down, dealing 1.8k physical damage to enemies in the target area every 1 second for 8 seconds after a 2-second delay. These are both on a 10-second timer, so it's kind of why we have them together. Flames of Oblivion. Activate an aura of flames which launches a fireball at 2 enemies every 5 seconds, dealing 7.3k flame damage. While slotted, you gain Major Prophecy and Major Savagery. The ability scales with your highest offensive stat. That's the reason why we're using it. Even though it's flame damage and it costs magicka, it scales off of our highest offensive stat, which will be our weapon damage. So, and then again, Barb Trap, Camo, and then Standard or Might. Call down a Battle Standard, dealing 4.8k flame damage every 1 second for 20 seconds to enemies, and applying Major Defile to them, reducing their healing received and health recovered by 16%. Standing in the area increases your damage done and reduces damage taken by 15%. An ally near the standard can activate the Shackle Synergy, dealing 9.8k flame damage to enemies in the area and immobilizes them for 5 seconds. So this one will increase our damage done by 15%, and it reduces the damage we take in, which is why we tend to use that one over Dawnbreaker. Now, if your healer is lacking, then I tend to replace Camo Hunter with Resolve and Vigor on my back bar. Outside of that, if my healer is doing pretty good, then I just keep Camo Hunter there. But it's entirely up to you. It's all about how you feel about whether or not the healer is doing a good job. Pots that we do use Essence of Weapon Power pots, because we don't have anything else that gives it to us. If you wanted to, because we do have Barb Trapped on our front bar, you can completely take these off, and you can also put Igneous Weapon here on your front bar, which will give you Major Brutality and stuff. So you can get away with trash pots. So that's up to you. The 2 back spots there, you can either leave them like the front bar, or you can swap them out for something else. It's entirely up to you. Now, champion points. The green tree is just kind of however you like. These are always good to have. This increases the gold you get anyways, so an extra 10% in gold, an extra 50% gold that you'll find in chests and safe boxes. And then I would go this way with 15 points here to reduce the cost of the Waitron usage. 50 points here to Steadfast Enchant. Your weapon enchants decay 20% slower per stage. So this is a 100% reduced decay rate. Then the ones I keep on my bar are Treasure Hunter, which increases the quality of items I find in chests. Master Gatherer reduces the time it takes to harvest by 10% per stage. Plentiful Harvest, which gives me a 50% chance to double the yield from normal resources nodes per stage. And then I have Liquid Efficiency. Well, I come this way. I put 10 here, which adds 10 minutes to the duration of any food, eaten food or drink per stage, which isn't necessarily a really big deal. And then liquid efficiency, whenever you use a potion or poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. So those are the ones I have on my bar. Master Gatherer, Treasure Hunter, Liquid Efficiency, and Plentiful Harvest. I put Homemaker on my bar if I'm like looking for furniture patterns, things like that. This gives me that extra chance to get more. But honestly, if you're more combat focused, like you don't really care about harvesting and stuff like that, Steadfast Enchantment and Liquid Efficiency are really the only ones you need out of this tree for combat in itself. So outside of that, the rest of this is just things right here. So it's up to you. You know, while I wait on things like that, run around and farm. So that's why I tend to keep those on my bar at all times. Now in the red tree, this is where things get tricky. Balance, Vitality, Ironclad, Rejuvenation are ones that you want on your bar as well. And then I run Bloody Renewal also, which every time I kill an enemy I get 1500 stamina back. Now after that, you got Reduce Cost and Break Free, Tumbling, which reduces cost of dodge, reduce the duration of elemental status effect applied to you by 5% per stage. This isn't one I'm really worried about. But then Hero's Vigor gives you 1.1k max health. And then, this increases your movement speed when sprinting. And this reduces the cost of sprint. So, and then we have Tireless Guardian, reduce cost of block by 20% per stage. And increase the amount of damage you can block by 2%. But the ones on my bar, Boundless Vitality, which increases my max health by 1400. Ironclad, which increases my resistances by 1.7. This Rejuvenation, which increases all my recoveries by 150. And then Bloody Renewal, which will give me 1500 stamina when I kill an enemy. After that, I would recommend Hero Vigor. And then you can either go with whatever. Reduce the cost in roll dodge, reduce the cost in break free, reduce the cost in blocking, or how much damage you can block, or if you're running from mob to mob and you don't want to be out of stamina, Sprinter. So you can also go with Tempered Soul, which when you're resurrected, you gain back more resources. This can go all the way up to 100%. So you'll get 100% of your, or is it 100? It might not be 100. It might be like 50 or 75%. It might be somewhere around in there. But you'll get a ton of your resources back instead of popping back up with almost nothing. So, but there's options there. Blue tree. So with this setup here, this exact setup that I have on my bar, I was able to pull 37.2k on the 4 mil. Or not on the 4 mil, but on the 3 mil. Now DPS has went down, so quite a bit actually. So with this setup here, this was the CP system that I used here for the blue tree. I have Deadly Aim, which increases your damage done with single target attacks by 2%, which is 10% total. Increase your damage done with damage over time effects by 10% per stage. Backstabber, which increases your critical damage done by 3% per stage against enemies you are flanking. So the current bonus is 15%. And then Untamed Aggression, increase your weapon and spell damage by 3% per stage, which is an extra 150 weapon and spell damage. Now, when it comes to passives, you're going to want Precision all the way to 40. Tireless Discipline, which grants you an extra 1000 max stamina. And then in this tree, Piercing, which is a 1400 at max. This gives you increase your chance to apply martial status effects by 30% per stage, so an extra 60%. And then grants 100 weapon and spell damage to martial attacks. This affects your physical, poison, disease, and bleed damage. So these are really nice to have as well. Now, when it comes to this side, I use Thermometer, Deadly Aim, always. Backstabber I use on the dummy because of the fact I'm going to get that extra 15, where this gives me an extra 10%, and I'm always going to be standing behind the dummy. But for the most part, I'll have Fighting Finesse on my bar almost all the time. And the only ones I change out is Backstabber. I will switch Backstabber out with Untamed Aggression, just because if my tank is running around, not keeping the mob center, or if we don't have a tank and the mob is just bouncing from person to person, you're not always going to be able to flank them. And in that case, this is going to fall off. So I would take the extra weapon damage. So basically, um, this is what the bar would look like if my tank wasn't keeping the mob still. I would have fighting finesse on, deadly aim, thermometer, and untamed aggression. Backstab would be off. If I know my tank and my tank is keeping them still, then I'm going to drop untamed aggression for backstabber. Oops. So yeah. So I would take off untamed aggression for backstabber. That's how I would have it set up instead. But if my tank is playing happy feet, then I'm getting rid of it for untamed aggression. Because I would rather have that extra weapon damage than, not getting any benefit out of this. When it comes to setting this up at a lower CP, um, I would get just to get these on the bar or something, and then work to build them up. But I definitely think you need your passives and your precision, the extra stam, definitely piercing. This tree here, I think these are just as important as these. So honestly, I really can't tell you which ones to level up first, which ones to go with. I would just go with whatever. Find something that makes you happy. Because when it comes to CP wise, you're going to need a lot of CP just to get up. So, yep. CP points aren't saved somewhere. Oh, I changed the bar. Okay, yeah. Okay, so when it comes to DPS testing, if this is your bar, if you have igneous, then you would pop it first to buff up. But here, this is our only buff that we have with this bar setup. So we're going to use this. We're going to pop a pot, bar trap, endless hell, poison injection, bar swap, noxious, or claw, whatever, and then stagger. You'll be able to throw out a few of these, and then you can keep track with the Bandero, with the arrows. And then you just want to repeat. After the first rotation, that's when I would drop the Standard Might. So when I bar swap to come back to my back bar after I've done, and I'm getting ready to do this for the second time, I would drop my Standard Might and then bar swap and go back into it. So let me see here. And then from there, these dots are so weird. So the rotation isn't static. So it's kind of dynamic. So you're going to have to I tend to watch my Bandero poison. My arrow, you see 8, 7, 6. That lasts as long as my arrow barrage. So when that hits about 2 seconds, I'm getting ready to bar swap back to my back bar to throw this down. Usually I can either overcast this, or I can just hit it on my second rotation coming around. It's just however I feel. But with the rotation, you would buff up, drop barb, endless hell, or arrow barrage, poison injection, noxious, claw, and then stagger. And the claws and stuff are going to last a little longer. So you're just going to want to come back. You'll be able to throw off another 1 or 2 of these. And then noxious, claw. And then it's probably about that time for you to swap back, drop your arrow barrage, and just kind of repeat the process. So let me know how y'all are liking this patch. Let me know what you were thinking about the changes to the CP. I just like to hear what other people are thinking about when it comes to this game in general. So hope y'all are enjoying playing the game with the new CP setup. I hope y'all are having fun with this upcoming year. Looking forward to this year. Let me know in the comment section. Until next time, take care.